Also making the trip to China for us, Tom Llamas, anchor of NBC Nightly News. Tom, good morning to you. I know you spent the last few days on the ground there talking to the Chinese people. Based on those conversations, Tom, what kind of reception can President Trump expect from the Chinese people and the leadership there?
Hey, Craig, good morning to you. I actually just wrapped up a conversation with a retired senior colonel in the Chinese military. He tells me President Xi will roll out the carpet for President Trump, but then he was quick to say this trip is much different than the president's first visit 9 years ago. And the reason why is the war in Iran. He says the Chinese military and the Chinese government know that President Trump has started this war in Iran, and it appears he cannot finish it, and that it's hurt him as well back home politically. He says he expects President Trump to ask for President Xi's help in maybe negotiating some kind of peace, some kind of deal, especially when it comes to the Strait of Hormuz. And when I asked him about the military, why China was ramping up its military, especially in the last 10 years, he says President Xi's goal is to have the most advanced military in the world. When I reminded him that China has not been involved in a war for nearly 50 years, he told me China believes you don't have to cut someone to prove that you have the sharpest knife. Craig?
You know, Tom, before the Iran war came to pass, this summit would have been probably strictly about trade and the economy. And these two massive countries are competitors, but also need each other. So how do you expect that to play out? And especially, you know, the appearance of these major CEOs from our country?
Yes, Savannah, it's a great point, and I think the president's guest list tells a lot about what the president wants to do here in China. He has always said he's the world's greatest deal maker, and the world will be watching to see what, if anything, President Trump can get from the Chinese. The two big high-profile CEOs we have to watch are Tim Cook and Elon Musk. Why Tim Cook? Well, I sat down with a group of recent college grads here in Beijing, and I asked them, what is the most popular American company in China right now? They all said the same thing. Apple. They all had Apple Watches, Apple iPhones, Apple iPads. They truly think Apple's making superior products across the globe. So it's important that Tim Cook is here. And then, of course, Elon Musk, who's the CEO of Tesla. I had a chance to test drive one of those Chinese EVs, which right now you can't get in the United States. The company is called BYD. And I have to be honest, the car felt luxurious. It feels like any other electric vehicle, but you can't beat the price. The car that I drove was around $25,000. Their cheapest model is around $12,000. Now, right now, the U.S. automakers don't want China's EVs inside of America because it could cripple the market. There's also a national security threat because, of course, China monitors everything when it comes to cyber security. But Elon Musk is here, and Elon Musk is also very well respected in China. People think Tesla is a gold standard when it comes to the EVs. And the president has sent mixed signals about Chinese EVs back in the U.S. So if any deal is cut on Chinese EVs, you have to think he's going to want Elon Musk in that room.
Tom Llamas for us there in China on the ground in Beijing. Tom, thank you. And, of course, Tom will have the very latest from that summit tonight on NBC Nightly News.
Hey, thanks for watching. And don't forget, you can catch the Today Show every morning on NBC or take Today when you're on the go. Just follow the Today podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen.